Right now, as you listen to this, you are being deceived. Your brain is lying to you. Your senses are betraying you. And the worst part is that you have spent your entire life believing a lie so deep, so ingrained, that when you finally discover the truth, everything you thought you knew about reality will collapse like a house of cards. Carl Sagan knew it. Einstein proved it. And you're about to discover it. Take a deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs. Notice the weight of your body against the chair or the bed where you are right now. That familiar, comforting sensation is an illusion. What you feel is not what you think you feel. And what you are about to understand will change forever the way you perceive every second of your existence. Since the day you were born, you were taught that gravity is a force, that the earth pulls you downward with an invisible tug, that your weight is real, that when something falls, something is pushing it. Millions of people for centuries have believed exactly the same thing. But all of them, absolutely all of them, were wrong. Carl Sagan had a unique way of making us see the invisible. He used to tell us to look beyond the obvious, to question even what seemed most evident. And when it came to gravity, his fascination was almost poetic. For him, understanding gravity was not just an intellectual exercise. It was understanding the secret choreography of the cosmos, the silent dance that holds the entire universe together. Imagine for a moment discovering that the color red does not exist, that it was always a construction of your mind. That is how radical what you are about to understand really is. Gravity, as you know it, is not real. There is no force pulling you toward the ground. There never was. And yet, here you are, feeling something your brain interprets as weight, as attraction, as solidity. Newton was brilliant. No one denies that. His equations worked beautifully. They predicted exactly how objects would fall, how planets would orbit, how every fragment of matter in the cosmos would move. But he himself admitted it with painful honesty. He had no idea how it actually worked. He was like a magician who knows the trick but does not understand the magic. He described perfectly what happened, but he could not explain why. For 300 years we lived with that description. We were satisfied with saying that gravity was a mysterious force acting instantaneously at a distance, a kind of cosmic telepathy where the earth simply knew you were there and pulled you toward it without touching anything, without invisible cables, without any mechanism at all. Doesn't that seem strange to you? Doesn't it disturb you to think that for 3 centuries, humanity accepted an explanation that did not really explain anything? Sagan often wondered out loud how it was possible that we lived so comfortably with unresolved mysteries. He said that science was not a collection of answers, but a perpetual process of asking better questions. And the question about gravity was one of the most unsettling of all. How can one object affect another without touching it? How can the Earth know that the Moon is there, 384,000 kilometers away, and keep it in orbit without any visible connection? And then Einstein arrived, and with him, the most disturbing truth physics has ever revealed. Think about something we all take for granted. A hammer and a feather fall differently on Earth. The hammer hits first, the feather floats gently. It seems obvious, right? But remove the air from the equation, eliminate atmospheric resistance, and something impossible happens. Both fall exactly the same, with the same speed, with the same acceleration, as if the universe could not tell the difference between heavy metal and light material. The astronauts of Apollo 15 proved it on the moon. David Scott dropped a hammer and a feather at the same time in front of the cameras. And both touched the lunar surface at the exact same instant. It was a moment that took the breath away from millions of people, because it was not just an experiment, it was a window into the true nature of reality. How can that be? If gravity were really a force pulling objects, mass should matter. A heavier object should be attracted more strongly, but the acceleration is identical, always, without exception. And that coincidence, so perfect, so suspiciously exact, cannot be an accident. It is a clue, a sign that something much deeper is happening beneath the surface of reality. Carl Sagan loved these moments of revelation. He said that nature does not owe us explanations, but when we finally understand something fundamental, the beauty of that understanding is almost spiritual. And Einstein's understanding of gravity was precisely that, a nearly mystical revelation that changed everything. Einstein realized something extraordinary, something that sounds so simple it hurts. You cannot distinguish between standing still in a gravitational field and accelerating in empty space. Imagine yourself inside a box with no windows. If the box is resting on Earth, you feel your weight. If the box is in space being pushed upward with constant acceleration, you feel exactly the same. There is no experiment, no device, no measurement that can tell you which situation you are in. They are physically identical, indistinguishable, interchangeable. And if both things are the same, then gravity cannot be a force. It has to be something else, something much more fundamental, something woven into the very structure of space and time. Here comes the moment when everything changes. Prepare yourself, because this will challenge every intuition you have developed in your life. Objects that fall are not being pushed by anything. There is no force acting on them. They are simply following their natural path through space and time. It is like a river flowing through a valley. The water is not being pulled downward by some mysterious force. It is simply following the shape of the terrain. And that shape, that curvature, is what creates the movement. Carl Sagan used brilliant metaphors to explain impossible concepts. He imagined space as a giant elastic sheet. When you place a bowling ball on that sheet, it sinks, creating a depression. If you then roll a marble nearby, it does not move in a straight line. It curves, following the depression created by the heavy ball. There are no invisible strings pulling the marble. It is simply following the new shape of space. The mass of the Earth does not attract you. What it does is curve space and time around it. And you, without knowing it, are trying to move in a straight line through that curved space. But a straight line in curved space looks like a curve from the outside. It looks like a fall. It looks like an orbit. Think about this for a moment. Space is not just an empty stage where things happen. Space is an active participant. It bends, stretches, contracts. And those deformations guide every movement of every particle in the universe. It is as if the cosmos were a vast, invisible ocean, and we were waves on its surface, believing we move by our own will, when in reality we are following currents we cannot even see. When you are standing on the ground, you are not at rest. This is crucial. You are accelerating upward. The ground is constantly pushing you, forcing you to deviate from your natural trajectory, which would be free fall. And that resistance, that constant deviation, is what you feel as weight. Sagan used to marvel at this concept. He said that standing on Earth is like being inside an elevator that is constantly going up. The difference is that the elevator never reaches any destination. It simply pushes you upward all the time, preventing you from following your natural path through curved spacetime. Falling is the natural state of the universe. It requires no force. It needs no explanation. It is simply what happens when you let space and time guide your motion. The astronauts on the International Space Station are not experiencing zero gravity. They are in perpetual free fall, following their natural trajectory around the Earth. They feel weightless, not because there is no gravity, but because they are finally free from the resistance of the ground, finally able to follow the path the universe traced for them. Standing still, on the other hand, requires a force. It requires something to push you constantly, to keep you away from your natural path. It is exactly the opposite of what you always thought. And if you still have doubts, if part of you resists believing that space can curve, consider this. Light also bends. Light, which has no mass, which according to Newton should not be affected by gravity at all, bends when it passes near massive objects. During solar eclipses, we can see stars that should be hidden behind the sun. Their light is deflected, twisted, following the curvature of space created by the solar mass. This was precisely what confirmed Einstein's theory in 1919. During a total eclipse, the astronomer Arthur Eddington measured the apparent positions of stars near the edge of the sun, and he discovered that they were exactly where Einstein predicted they would be if space were curved. It was the moment when a revolutionary theory became proven reality. Distant galaxies act as gigantic lenses, bending the light of even more distant objects and creating multiple, distorted, impossible images. We have photographed Einstein rings, where the light from a distant galaxy curves completely around a closer one, creating a perfect circle of light. The entire universe is a labyrinth of curved mirrors where light travels along twisted paths through space that folds in on itself. This is not theory. This is direct observation. This is raw reality. Carl Sagan had a phrase he repeated constantly. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and the curvature of space-time has mountains of extraordinary evidence. Every time you use a global positioning system on your phone, you are relying on relativistic corrections. Satellites orbiting Earth experience time differently than we do on the surface. If this gravitational effect were not corrected, your navigation system would drift several kilometers every day, and everything fits. Planets orbit because they follow the curves drawn in space by the sun. They are not being pulled, they are not being pushed. They are simply falling eternally around the sun, following the shape that solar mass gave to space. It is a fall that never ends, because the trajectory is perfectly calibrated so they never reach the center. Stars exist because their own mass curves space around them enough to counteract internal pressure. It is a delicate balance between the geometry of space and the nuclear physics happening in their cores. When that balance breaks, the star collapses and can become something even stranger. Black holes appear when that curvature becomes so extreme that not even light can escape. Space bends so violently around itself that it creates a region of the universe from which nothing can get out. It is not that some force is sucking everything inward. It is that the geometry of space itself has become a trap from which escape is impossible. Sagan was fascinated by black holes. He called them the graves of massive stars, places where the laws of physics we know reach their limit. He said that studying a black hole was like looking over the very edge of what is comprehensible, where human intuition simply stops working. Everything, from the smallest to the largest, responds to this single fundamental truth. The universe does not operate through invisible forces acting at a distance. It operates through geometry, through the shape of space and time themselves. Mass tells space how to curve, and space tells objects how to move. There are no pushes. There are no pulls. There are only paths drawn into the structure of reality itself. But there is something even deeper, something Carl Sagan understood better than anyone. This revelation about gravity is not just a scientific curiosity. It is a lesson in human humility. For millennia, humans thought they understood the most basic aspects of existence. We thought we knew what falling was, what weight was, what motion was. And it turns out we were profoundly wrong. Sagan said that science teaches us that the universe was not made for us. It is not designed to be easily understood by us. Our brains evolved to survive on the African plains, not to understand the curvature of spacetime. The fact that we can even begin to grasp these cosmic truths is an extraordinary triumph of human thought. And yet, here we are, tiny creatures on an insignificant planet, capable of deciphering the deepest secrets of the universe, capable of looking at the cosmos and seeing not only what it is, but how it works, capable of understanding that gravity is not a force, but the very geometry of existence. Sagan used to say that we are stardust contemplating the stars, but it is deeper than that. We are patterns of energy following curves in the fabric of space and time. We are waves traveling through a cosmic ocean that bends and twists under its own weight. We do not inhabit the universe. We are the universe experiencing itself. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a star that died billions of years ago. Every molecule that composes you traveled through curved space for eons before becoming part of you. And when you move, when you fall, when you simply exist, you are following paths traced by the fundamental geometry of the cosmos. So the next time you feel your feet against the ground, remember, it is not gravity pushing you downward. It is the ground pushing you upward, keeping you away from your natural destiny, which is to fall eternally through curved space and time. Every second you remain standing is a second in which something forces you to deviate from the path the universe traced for you. Carl Sagan left us with a fundamental lesson. The cosmos is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. Gravity is just one example of that, a doorway into a reality that defies everything our senses tell us, an invitation to look beyond the obvious and discover that the universe is infinitely more wonderful and terrifying than any myth or legend could ever conceive. We live in a reality where solidity is an illusion, where weight is acceleration, where falling is being at rest, and being at rest is falling. A reality governed not by forces, but by forms. Not by pushes, but by curves. A reality where space itself is the protagonist, bending, stretching, creating the perfect stage for everything that exists. Gravity is not something that happens inside space. It is something that happens to space itself. And you, at this precise moment, are navigating those invisible waves, following a path drawn by the geometry of the cosmos, believing you are standing still, when in reality you have never stopped falling. Sagan was right when he said that somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be discovered. And the most incredible thing of all is that it is already here, right beneath our feet, in every second of every day. The truth about gravity was waiting for us all this time, hidden in plain sight, disguised as the most ordinary and familiar thing. Welcome to the true nature of reality. Nothing will ever be the same again. If you made it to the end of this video, comment, "I agree," and I will personally reply to you. And if this content resonated with you, subscribe to be part of it and leave a like if you enjoyed it.